Welcome to Martini Time. I'm back. We just got back from Washington. We went to the Kennedy Center to see my Hedwig, my daughter, perform in Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And so we just got back a few minutes ago, and I have a time to get my martini in my little monkey mind glass. I just found this monkey mind here to be very ironic because the monkey mind is a metaphor for the restless mind that just jumps around hoppity hop hop, can't settle on anything, just jumps all over the cage, very restless, can't focus, And so the Dharma practice, which is what I do, the Dharma practice, ironically, creates another monkey mind. So it's kind of like first you have monkey mind, then you have no monkey mind, then you have monkey mind. But the monkey mind I have now jumps around and connects dots to create understanding or bigger pictures, So it's a very productive monkey mind. Anyway, I digress. I didn't take my martinis with me. But our host had some very nice Jack Daniels, which was pretty good. Wish I could afford it. So, this was, took a picture of now of course that's reversed, but it's Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And this was the marquee in the Kennedy Center. And my daughter's been understudy, and she did perform last night. And it may be the last time, since the show is the last stop on a year tour, over a year, has been Kennedy Center in Washington, where they've been for a week. So if you do go up there, you can see the play, but she may not be in it unless the star gets sick. However, let's talk about Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I know not many of you, if any, have seen it. Some of you may know the story because it was a movie, and it was on Broadway before. Then it was a movie. Then it went to sleep for some time, and then it was James Cameron, I think, wrote it and brought it back to Broadway, which it ran for about a year, 2 years, and then it went on tour with a year in between. And there is, my daughter said there's a possibility it may go to England or Europe. So there's something in this play that is universal. And the basic story of it took place in East Berlin during the wall, and we have a gay boy, young man, who is looking for his soulmate, his oneness. He wants to be one. And a soldier loves him, and they want to get married, and by marriage he can escape East Berlin. But East Berlin is strict, so only same-sex people can get married. So he undergoes a sex change so he can get married to escape East Berlin, and they go to a doctor who botches the operation, and he ends up with an angry inch, you see. And so now, years later, he's come to America, the soldier's left, and he fell in love with his soulmate. And this all goes back to the Plato's myth of the original human being who had two heads and four arms and 4 legs. It was so powerful that the gods got jealous and told Zeus to split man in half. So he would be looking for his other half and would not be as powerful as the gods. So Zeus did it, and man has been searching for his other half, his soulmate or the one. And Cole Porter we've been talking about, day and night, you are the one. So this East and West Berlin, day and night, you are the one. So Hedwig is searching for the one, and he finds the one. He finds his soulmate. And his name is Tommy Gnosis. Gnosis? Gnostic? Gnosis? Knowing? And they write, and there's this magical time, and they write music, rock music, boom. and they go on tour, and Tommy Gnosis, and the rock music takes place on a stage where where the musical The Hurt Locker was playing. You know, Hurt Locker. Okay, this is about hurt, and Hedwig performs in parking lots wherever Tommy Gnosis is performing, big rock star. And he's using all my songs. He took all my songs. So there's this anger and there's this grief, of betrayal. And this Tommy Gnosis is now famous and he won't even recognize me. So Hedwig is angry and he's a big, got big wigs and flaming, kind of a flaming transgender rock star. Well, he's a rock star, androgynous. Androgyny is the rock star's metaphor. They're both male and female. You can't tell them apart, you see. So they have attained the one through the opposites of male and female and become androgynous. And the coming together of these opposites, the holding together simultaneously of male and female, of night and day, the holding together simultaneously like the positive and negative of a battery creates energy, creates music, creates poetry, creates creative ideas. Steve Jobs, Apple, a single idea that creates a whole business comes about when two opposites are sustained simultaneously at the same time, so that the idea or the art unifies the objects. Night and day, you are the one. The song is the one. Hedwig and the angry inch is the one. Hedwig and the angry inch is a metaphor. It's art. Art is metaphor for the unity of the contradictions of the human nature. And you could say it would be male and female, but it's any contradiction. And so he's raging through and he's singing and he's angry. The songs are angry in their anger. And he's just, so he's in limbo. He's not a male or a female. He can't be one or the other. So he's raging, you see, and blaming Tommy Gnosis. Blaming, you see, the cause, of his limbo, you see. And so everything just comes to a crashing crisis, and he goes to the depths and he shares with the audience what happened. So he had fallen in love with Tommy Gnosis. They were writing these songs. And Tommy would always hug him from behind, and he said, I want you to love the front of me, not just the back of me. So when he turned, and Tommy faced the front of him, and Tommy found out that all he had was a little inch, Tommy left, you see. And that was the core broken pain body, the hurt that was buried, the rejection because of his anatomy that he couldn't change. And it wasn't his fault, you see. So when he revealed that to the audience, he just hit the bottom. And there was lights and flashing going on, you see. And he took off his wig, and he took off his rock star, his dress, his fabulous dress. And he was just a man in his underwear, And he was whole again. And the other part of the play was Yitzhak, which my daughter played. And Yitzhak was Hedwig's husband, but they got together with Yitzhak in Yugoslavia or someplace, and Yitzhak wanted to be a drag queen. He wanted to be a woman. But Hedwig wouldn't let him wear a wig, wouldn't let him be a woman because there was competition. There's only one Hedwig, you see. But when Hedwig accepted his pain, accepted the truth of Tommy Gnosis's rejection, you see, and went into the Hurt Locker, when he went into the Hurt Locker naked and vulnerable, then when he accepted himself and ended the self-loathing, he was able to accept Yitzhak as for who he was. And then, of course, then my daughter, Yitzhak goes off stage, and Yitzhak comes back in as a woman and sings in this like a butterfly out of the cocoon, you know. So it's a great moment of liberation for both of them. And so the play ends, you know. So the angry inch, I realized, is basically Eckhart Tolle's pain-body. It's our pain body. Now the metaphor, you see, you know, we really, you know, I keep coming back to this. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But I keep talking about metaphor as art and religion. And until we really understand that in our bones, there's so much misunderstanding. So the play is, on a factual level, about a transgender, a screwed up transgender operation. Okay, and it has a time and place. It took place in East Berlin. You know, after that, you see. So that's kind of like the metaphor points to the fact. That's one hand of the metaphor, one finger. But the metaphor's finger points in two decorations. So the other finger points to you, subjectively. So the metaphor points objectively, the facts, and it points subjectively to you as I. I am Hedwig, you see. Hedwig is as the actor. I mean, the actor of a play becomes the character and becomes the emotion of the character and becomes the pain of the character. And when he's good, his pain, his performance of the pain is your pain. You feel it. You feel his anger. You feel his pain, you see. I am Hedwig. Je suis Hedwig. So that's where the metaphor points, you see. It points to you. And as you go, this is called catharsis. Aristotle came up with this. It means that the play is a cathartic release of the pain in you. It's a cathartic release of your angry inch. See, we all have an angry inch. It's just a little thing. It's buried down there deep. And it comes up to be fed. It's a grievance. It's undigested pain. It's leftovers on the dinner plate of life, you see. It's polluting down, it's festering down there. It's an energy body, it's a pattern. And when it comes up as a pattern, a drama, a reenactment, a roller coaster ride, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. The angry inch comes up reincarnating itself, reenacting itself in a different context, in a different form, with different people, but the pattern's the same, you see? So the angry inch is an inch of pattern, or maybe 2 days of pattern, or maybe a decade of pattern, or maybe a lifetime, you see, of grievance and blaming, you see. So Hedwig blamed Tommy Gnosis for his pain, you see. And he was not able to free when he actually went into his hurt locker and accepted the pain as pain, not as something caused by somebody else, but as his pain. He faced it and accepted it. And that liberated him, and then it liberated Yitzhak, his companion, you see. And it liberates the audience, who are going through this catharsis of day and night, you are the one, you see. Under the, beneath the moon and under the sun. You know, this duality, this contradiction of opposites, East and West Berlin, you know. What is the one, you see? Notice about Germany, just a side note, you see. Ironically, Hitler was motivated, his intention was to make Germany one. But a Germany that was one, that had no opposite country, no competition, no Yitzhak. So he wanted to take over all the countries of Europe so Germany would be number one. Well, of course, he got defeated. And then there was the split in Germany by the Russians. So Germany became two, day and night, yearning for the one. So when the communist government fell, and the wall fell, and East Berlin and West Berlin were united. Let there be one, you see. And look what happened. Germany has prospered. It's gotten rid of its obsession with domination, aggressive domination to be the one. And so it became, ironically, Germany became the one economic power in the European Union. But they have given up their quest to dominate the world, to become one, you see. But, you see, and even the Cold War between America and Russia was a projection of the division between East and West Berlin. Inconsistently, two frames of contradictory realities, mutually dependent. And America is caught in Hedwig. And we have an angry inch, you see. We're caught in Hedwig. We don't live in East and West Berlin. We live in left, liberal, and conservative Berlin with a wall down the middle. Get the idea? And this tension, this inability to find the one, to let there be one, you see, because each side, particularly the right, has been saying, yes, let there be one, but it's got to be Republican. You see, of course, liberals say the same thing, but the Republicans have been more successful at it because they finally got the one. You know, all the government, all the forms of government, you see. So, there's a lot of angry inches in our world today. When the angry inch gets too big, you see, it erupts in a mass shooting on either side. You know, could be a extreme right shooter, extreme left shooter. Doesn't make any difference. None whatsoever. It's an angry inch. And the angry inch cannot be sustained because there has to be one world, one America, one world. And when there can't be one world, there's two, and you can't eliminate the other, there are people on the extreme on both sides will take out a gun to shoot the other. Like Charlie Manson, hoping that his murder would cause a Armageddon of a race war, or the guy in South Carolina that shot up the black church. He wanted to start a forest fire that would destroy the conflict of the two worlds, you see. Through destruction, a new world is born. And that's Bannon's philosophy. Deconstruct the deconstruct the government so a new order can be born, you see? So if you can't eliminate the other side, and you can't create a new America out of the two, then destroy the whole thing. Start over. Armageddon, end of time. Let Jesus come. You see. So this inconsistency in the lower nature, where we have two conflicting ideas or realities with different frames of reference. You can see it ever so clear today, where with the conflict between news and news. One's real, one's fake. Trump says the real news is fake. Those on in the real news says Trump news is fake. But there can only be one news. There can only be one set of agreed upon facts, you see. There can't be two realities. That's schizophrenia. Or at worst, psychosis. And nations can go mad. A collective mind. A nation is a collective mind. And when it becomes neurotic and unable to have one intention but has two intentions, conflicting with each other, pulling in, they're like a team of horses, four of them going in one direction and four going in that direction. It pulls them apart. It destroys everything. It can't be tolerated. Something has to give. Something has to be created, you see. So the explosion out of this angry inch is going to be either violent or creative, you see. Now, art is the creative solution. A creative government would be a political party that combines the best of both opposites, not one or the other, but a compromise that includes both. So each gives a little. Each leaves a little behind. That was one of the refrains in the movie. You have to leave, in order to grow or transcend, you have to leave something behind. You see, of course, the metaphor was the reference to Hedwig leaving his penis behind. But anyway, the idea is that when there is a creative transcendent of the two contradictory opposites, or this dissonance, you see, both sides have to leave something behind. Both sides have to give up something, you see, in order for the whole to be created. So this is the devotion to nation instead of party. If you're devoted to party, you are devoted to the elimination of the other party, so that you are number one and all challenges are gone, you see. And I talked about this the other day. I think we talked about this with Newt Gingrich, who created a Republican Party that was like the British Redcoats. They marched in lockstep with the talking points, a Greek phalanx against the tribal Democrats who all have all these different special interests, see. The Republicans only had one interest, so they were united. And when you saw them on TV, wow, these guys really know what they're doing. They're all saying the same thing, you see. But they're just reading talking points that was handed to them during the day, you see, which is the marching orders, and it worked. But it's falling apart now. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, glad you dropped in. I'm glad I'm back. And I hope you can get rid of your angry inch. Thank you.